Welcome back to Missing. I am Tim, here today with Lance. Lance, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic today, Tim. We got a couple of really amazing guests on. This episode of Missing is exactly why we do this show, Tim. Sometimes we deviate and we have adjacent topics that we discuss and we have guests on that aren't directly impacted by a family member who's gone missing. But this episode today is one that is, again, classic missing. We have a mother and a sister, and they're talking about their missing loved one. Tim, how are you today? Before we get to this conversation, let's let the listeners know that.
I'm doing great. Thanks a lot for asking. And yes, in this interview, we're speaking with Bethany and Susan, who are the sister and mother of Brittany Tee. Brittany Tee went missing from Brookfield, Massachusetts on January 10th, 2023. She is 5'6", 120 pounds, was last seen in a black winter coat, a hooded sweatshirt, jeans, and work boots. She's a Caucasian female, brown hair, blue eyes. Her ears are pierced. And Lance, this story is quite mysterious, and the last time that she was seen was apparently leaving her residence on foot. But as we discuss with Bethany and Susan, that's kind of a confusing part of this whole mystery.
The whole thing is super confusing, Tim. I think you and I were shaking our heads numerous times during this conversation as we listened to Susan and Bethany describe Brittany and describe the circumstances leading up to her disappearance. She basically acted very out of character. And I'm not saying in a way that was like detrimental to her directly. She wasn't a fan of walking at night. She wasn't a fan of being out in the wilderness or doing anything in the dark by herself. And that was apparently what happened, where she walked out and did something very out of character. This was January in Massachusetts. I mean, even on an unseasonably warm day, it's still pretty cold. A lot of people just won't go out in January after the sun goes down just for a stroll. It's not a very pleasant thing to do, especially someone who's not pre-planning to do that. And you'll hear the emotion in their voices, which again brings everything back to this human element. This is why we do this show. People need to know how painful this is for the secondary victims who are desperately searching for answers.
Right, and getting a lot of help from authorities as far as searches go. But I do want to mention that she went missing on January 10th, 2023, so we're approaching the 2-year anniversary, and they had a vigil last year on January 10th, and they are likely going to do that again this year on January 10th, 2025. And Brookfield, Massachusetts is close enough to Lance and I that we are planning on attending this, so hopefully we will see you there if you are available to make it there and want to show your support. That would be great as well.
And if you have any information on Brittany's disappearance, you're advised to call the tip line at 1-508-453-7589. And they've been using the hashtag, if you're posting on social media, hashtag Let's Bring Brittany Home.
Also, just want to mention that the nonprofit that Lance and I are on the board of, it's called Private Investigations for the Missing, and you can find out more information about it at investigationsforthemissing.org. Well, PIs for the Missing has assigned a private investigator to this case, and that includes a tip line. So if you've got any information that you'd like to deliver to PIs for the Missing, you can do so by calling 866-331-6660 or emailing piftmtips@gmail.com. And these numbers and information are in the show notes. Okay, we're going to break for a commercial in just a moment before we play the interview with Bethany and Susan. But we want to remind you that we have some final thoughts at the end of the interview with Bethany and Susan, and we'll return to speak about our thoughts on this conversation and disappearance. So please follow us on social media at MissingCSM. Thanks a lot for listening. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having us, and my mom's here as well. Yep, hi, I'm Sue T.
Hi, Susan.
How are you?
Doing all right over here.
Yeah, we're doing really well, and again, before we started recording, we said we're so sorry about the fact that your daughter and your sister, that she's been missing since January 10th of 2023. Can you let the audience, the listeners, know a little bit about Brittany?
Yeah. She, first of all, would never, we feel, voluntarily disappear like this. She was a very family-oriented person. She loved us and the kid and loved being around the kids. So for her to just disappear and not contact us for this long is just unlike her. She's a family person and very loving and caring.
We're not the type of family that doesn't stay in contact with each other. So this is very strange for her.
And you're a close family. I know that you had spent the Christmas holiday with her just a couple of weeks before she went missing. Was everything pretty normal during that time?
Oh yeah, we had a great day. We had a lot of fun. She was silly and just her silly self, playing with the kids, and we love Home Alone and Christmas Vacation movies. So we're just we have our inside jokes, and yep, she was definitely fine that all of Christmas.
And you said that she was playing with the kids. Who are the kids? What's the family like when you're all together?
Yep. So it's myself and my partner Mike, and we have our two children. They're little, so it's Brittany's niece and nephew. They're silly together. Just like to have fun with their auntie. We like to be outside with her and go for. We just had gone in November. We had spent some time outside and went for a little hike and stuff. So yeah, my sister was doing pretty well.
I know it's so tough to talk about, and again, I apologize for having to make you discuss all of this over and over again, but can you go through maybe the last couple of days before she disappeared, just so people can get a sense of how this happened? And
yep. So we keep in contact. We're keeping in contact pretty much daily. And Monday before she was reported. They felt she was missing. She walked out the door Tuesday night. That Monday prior, she had come over here because my mom had just gotten a new cat, so she wanted to come meet the kitty and spend time with the kids. And she was not herself that day. That Monday when she came over, she was acting a little strange, like just a little bit paranoid, just not herself. I didn't think too much of it because the next morning she was fine. I had reached out to her just to make sure she was okay, and she was completely normal and fine. So
supposed to come over Tuesday.
Yeah, she was supposed to come over Tuesday night because she has psoriasis. It's a skin condition, and we give her an injection to help keep her skin under control. So we were supposed to give her that injection, but she couldn't make it that day. Tuesday night, she had called my mom from her boyfriend's phone. She was crying.
She called to see what I was doing. This was around 8:00 that Tuesday, January 10th. And I said, what? She started out fine, and then she started to cry. And I asked her what was wrong, and she told me, nothing, Mom, we'll talk about it later, which she does. So I let it go. And little did I know that was the last time I was going to hear from her. So then supposedly, we didn't know that she had left. Brad told us, her boyfriend told us that she left his house around 8:30 that night, but we had no idea because we didn't get a hold of her Wednesday, didn't get a hold of her Thursday. By Thursday night, we contacted him, and he thought she was with us. So that's when we realized something was very wrong, and we went to the police to get help.
Just to back it up a little bit, you said that she was behaving in a paranoid manner.
She was holding her phone, and she said she says, "Mom, I have cancer, don't I?" And we couldn't figure out why she thought that. I don't know what she was looking at on her phone, but she just was, she wasn't feeling physically well even.
Yeah.
She was nauseous, and she just was not herself, but not to a degree that we would be extremely worried about her or whatever. And she said, "I'm going to go for now, Mom. I'll see you tomorrow," because she was supposed to get her injection for her skin. But she, as I say, she just, I don't know, by Tuesday night she was gone and nobody knew except for that household where she lived.
Had she ever expressed concern that she might have cancer or symptoms of some form of cancer in the past?
No,
no, no. That's the thing. I just, I'm trying to, look back, and she was being treated for psoriasis. She was being treated for alcoholism. She was doing pretty well with that. That's why we're saying this kind of caught us off guard. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, no. So do you think that she was saying that she thought she had cancer because of the alcoholism?
I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, it's either that or I came up with a theory that maybe I know when she like a long time ago when she had tried to smoke or like do like smoke marijuana, she acted just like that, and she had never wanted to try it again. And I know that she was around that, so I'm wondering if maybe she had tried again. That's all I can think of, was that she was just being paranoid from something like that, like a pot-induced type of reaction. Thing I can think of, because this was not a normal thing for her to act like that,
And can you tell us a little bit about that household? I understand Brittany lived there with her boyfriend, Brad. Was there anyone else in the residence?
There's a roommate, and then also his brother, who lived in a separate area in the house downstairs. But we personally only knew of Brad, of her boyfriend.
Not well.
And not well, because we only knew him for about 6 months. They only been dating a short time. So, and then the other two roommates, I don't know them at all.
And what was your impression of Brittany's boyfriend?
I actually, we liked him. We really didn't feel. I felt like he was always very well, very kind to when he would come over to the house, and was fun, played with the kids as well with Brittany. So, yeah.
We initially, we did not see anything.
Red flags.
Yeah, any red flags or anything.
No.
Okay, we hear a bunch of stories when we do this show that there's like evidence of abuse or suspicion of that, but you're saying that there was nothing to that nature that you saw leading up to her disappearance.
No, not physical abuse, and like I said, we really can't say what happened in that household, because we were never in there until she went missing, and she would never tell us if something was amiss. She was pretty protective of whoever she was dating, whether it be positive or negative.
Right, and I understand that the boyfriend has been cooperative in the investigation.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. They all have, actually. Yep.
Okay, good to hear. But what's confusing to me is that she left on foot at 8:30 p.m. on January 10th, cold evening in January, and her car is there. And
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but her phone and purse were both found inside her car?
No. Her phone and her wallet has not been found at all, actually. Her iPad was found. Her purse was in the car, but her wallet and her phone were not in the purse or in the car.
And I don't think there is confirmed sightings of her on foot. Nobody is, except for the household, are saying that she left on foot, which it doesn't make an ounce of sense. Her car was right out front. She could have gotten right in that car and driven wherever, but that's not the case.
Unless somebody, there's so many different scenarios. She could have been picked up by somebody. She could have, I can't see her walking in the dark and the cold anywhere.
Was there anything local that she would have been walking towards?
Where she used to work, there's a liquor store, a convenience store in the area. She could have tried to walk there. I don't know why she wouldn't have just taken her car if it's cold. It was freezing and dark, and that there's not a lot of street lights, and she definitely did not like the dark. So I don't really know why she would not just take her car, except for that it was running, but there was not a lot of gas in it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Wait, the car was running?
Her car was
No.
It was working. It had her car. It was very tenuous. Her Jeep. It was very tenuous. It needed a lot of work. So
we had gotten it repaired and it was running fine. But then she said it was starting to, the lights on the dashboard would go on or whatever. But when we realized she was missing, I started the Jeep and moved it out of the front of the house. So it started right up. It ran just fine. It's just, I don't know why it had enough gas to make it home. We're not that far from Brad's, and she had enough gas to get to Cumberland Farms or somewhere very local where she could have used a phone or whatever. I don't know what happened that night. We can't figure this one out, no matter how hard we try.
Can you tell us a little bit about the investigation that happened? Any searches? How did the police approach this initially?
Oh, yeah. So that Thursday night, we ended up we were pretty distraught because we knew there was just something very wrong. We ended up at the state police, which is right down the street from the Brookfield police station, thinking we were at the Brookfield.
Right.
We made a mistake. So we went there first, and they were, they were nice, and they took our report and everything, and ended up going to the area to search that night. And then the next morning we went to the Brookfield Town Police, and they also took a statement from us and kind of really did get the ball rolling as far as getting search dogs and the state police detectives involved. So, and it took off from there. They've done a very extensive amount of work, both covered by on the media, but I also wanted people to know that there's been a lot of behind the scenes stuff that they have done.
Be protective of what they do.
Yeah,
they don't make it well known, but we are aware of things that they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But they have done numerous drones, everything. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine so many things, water searches, and there's 90 acres alone on Brad's property. So it's quite a challenge. And of course that time of year didn't help either.
With the snow fall and everything.
You said there's 90 acres?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a wildlife refuge area close by too. So yeah, there's a lot of wooded area.
And they've searched all of that?
Not the wildlife. there's only a certain amount of radius that they've touched. I believe it's a 5-mile radius, but I'm not sure.
But friends have searched, you know.
Oh, and there's been a lot of civilian searches, just small civilian searches, but they've been through all those wooded areas looking for her.
And you said that there have been dogs that have been deployed?
So Friday morning, or, late morning, whatever, there were bloodhounds that searched the grounds and wherever, they were directed to go. And then the next search was with cadaver dogs. And so far that we're aware of, nothing has been, turned. I don't know if they have found anything. We don't know.
It's been inconclusive.
Inconclusive, yeah.
Right. But you're saying that the law enforcement has been very communicative with you, telling you things that have been going on behind the scenes, but not releasing anything to the public? Yes,
well, they don't release much to us either. They tell us what they're doing, but as far as information, we are very, it is very limited with us. There's nothing that we know that the public doesn't know already.
Right,
basically.
It eventually gets out one way or another, but, so.
Yeah.
Except for, a few things that are, but basically we're told they have information they cannot share. So that just leaves us totally wondering what they could possibly have. Her Jeep was searched, the house was searched, the barns were searched, the land, even up and down Route 9. I mean, waterways. I cannot tell you the amount of searching that has been done to try to find her. And it's just unbelievable that there isn't one trace anywhere. It's like she just vanished into thin air.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for commercial. And just a reminder, folks, that we will return at the end of this conversation with some final thoughts.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program.
Not to pivot too abruptly, but I always get lost in the fact that when we're talking about somebody who's disappeared in an area that we're familiar with, because we're all in Massachusetts and there's different types of landscapes here in Massachusetts, but I always forget that there are people who don't know this. Can you explain what the geography is like there? Because you mentioned like 90 acres and they've searched barns. So can you just explain like what this geographic location is kind of comprised of?
Where Britt was last reported, it's there's a neighborhood, and it's right off of a main road, Route 9. So that part is populated, well populated, but surrounding, there's just a lot of like farmland. There's a lot of
conservation land.
Yeah, conservation land. The conservation land's very thick and lots of trees, and there's it's just a lot of ground to search, basically. Very remote in parts of Brookfield.
All the Brookfield.
Yeah. And
is that conservation land anything that Brittany was ever really interested in? Did she ever want to go visit it or anything?
She did not mention anything about that.
I'm not even sure if you're really supposed to go on there.
I don't know.
It's pretty kind of protected. Maybe there's trails that you're allowed to walk, but she is definitely not the type to walk in the woods by herself.
No way
at all.
Yeah, you've mentioned something to that effect a couple of times. You said that she wasn't really into walking in the dark, and she wasn't into walking in forest areas. So that was very out of character, right?
My husband, Bethany's dad, passed away 7 years ago. Prior to that, we did a lot of walking through like Howe State Park and Quabbin and Moore State Park, things like that. So if we ever went into wooded areas, it was always together. Yeah. We never go anywhere that way by ourselves, So no, she would not just decide to go hiking in the woods on her own, ever.
And you mentioned that Brittany's phone was still missing. Do you know if the police got any pings from her phone?
So the SIM card was left at where she was living. They found it on a countertop, which was very surprising because I wouldn't even think she would know how to take a SIM card out of her phone. We are very, very much not technologically inclined. So just the thought of her taking her SIM card out was very surprising to us. So I guess she did leave it on a countertop somewhere in the house. The ping was we're assuming in that same area, but there was no further activity from her phone since she's been missing. No
that we're aware of.
That we're aware of, yeah.
And I was reading an article about this, and the Worcester County District Attorney Joe Early had said that there was no reason to believe that she was kidnapped, which was weird to me. And I'm not criticizing anybody. Maybe I'm just criticizing the way the sentence was written in the article. But I don't understand how there was no reason to believe she was kidnapped if she left a location and didn't arrive at another location and something happened in between and her car is still at her place. So how is there possibly no reason to believe that she was kidnapped? I just wanted to know, do you find that odd as well, that statement's put out there?
Absolutely.
I find it odd that there's no proof there's proof that she left that house. There's no proof of how she left that house except the word of the household saying she walked out the front door. Other than that,
we don't know.
We have no idea.
Right. So if somebody at the house said that she left and that's what they're going on, wouldn't the next logical, I guess, theory be that someone else had taken her?
Yeah. We were surprised.
Right. To this point, to this day, they're still saying she's considered a missing person with no crime connection or whatever. And I just, I'm really finding it hard to accept that at this point because, I can't picture her not contacting us if she had the capability to do so. So I'm always afraid that somebody took her or she never made it out of that house. Those are my two scenarios.
I mean, those aren't irrational scenarios because she's missing.
She would not walk on foot in the dark. I can't picture it, even though she is familiar with the area because she worked very close. I can't picture her freezing to death, walking anywhere with her car right there in front of the house.
Yeah. Was there a train station nearby or any other means of like a bus station, a Greyhound station, any other means to get on another vehicle to voluntarily leave?
Yeah. There's a bus stop, and actually that was investigated because
where's the bus stop?
It's the town bus.
Yeah, but where's the bus stop there?
It's somewhere uptown somewhere
because
there is a bus stop somewhere up in the middle of the town. It was investigated because one of the bus drivers felt they might have seen her.
In Worcester, though.
But that was ruled out. It was not her.
Yes, I'm sorry. Say that again. So the bus driver might have seen her?
Yeah, at the beginning, there was a report that maybe the bus driver had seen Brittany get on that bus before, the bus that goes in and out of Worcester, but that was investigated, and it turned out not to be Brittany.
I'm still so confused about this SIM card that was found in the house, and she took it out, or at least it was not in her phone, and you're skeptical that she would even know how to take it out of her phone. I don't know how to take a SIM card out of a phone either.
Me too. I was just looking at my phone and wondering where I could do this.
We do have a private investigator who did just when I met him, he showed me how to take the SIM card out. It's on the side. It's actually very easy to do, but it's something I would never have figured out unless I maybe YouTubed it or somebody had to show me.
That's the other thing that's so hard is that we don't know her passwords into her iPad. We don't know passwords. So to even see what she could have researched, maybe, or contacted or whatever, we have really to this point no idea. We reached out to everybody that we could think of that may have that night possibly picked her up for one reason or another, and not one soul had spoken to her that night. So nobody knows where the heck she could be, in our circle anyway.
I understand that without a SIM card in the phone, it may make it impossible to make a phone call if I guess if you're relying on the network. I suppose I'm just looking online now, but I guess you can make an internet phone call if you have Wi-Fi, right?
Right. If it's connected to Wi-Fi, is what I was told. The phone could still be used, but
yeah, just trying to understand the benefit of removing that for any purpose.
Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but
has Brad been cooperative with law enforcement, and how much assistance has he given with the two of you and any private searches?
So they've been very cooperative with police. They've handed over everything that the police have asked of them. As far as searching and stuff, I don't know if they've done anything on their own, but we haven't really spoken to him in a while, so I don't know. I don't know if they've done anything.
Initially, he didn't go to the police station or anything with us, but I really don't know, if he's done anything since, except for being very cooperative with, the detectives and everything.
Okay, well, that's reassuring on some level. There's also another article that I was looking at, or several articles that say that surveillance photos captured her wearing a black jacket and hoodie. What surveillance photos were these? Where did these come from?
If you're looking at a group of pictures of her, is that what, those? So the package store or the liquor store that she used to work in captured her a couple of days prior. I believe that was. It definitely was not that night
or after.
She
went missing.
Yeah. So that's very misleading. Everybody thought that was that night, on Facebook and everything. No, it was not.
Okay, yeah. And Lou had said to us that there was a lot of misinformation out there. This is part of that misinformation?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's one of them. Yep.
Okay, if you want to clear up any of the misinformation that's out there, feel free.
Yeah. Well, that's one. Her car, the Jeep, that was not working. It was working.
That she was seen walking towards Lewisfield, that's hearsay. Lewisfield is a couple of houses down from Brad's. It's actually, like a recreational place for the town.
Like a playground.
Yeah, playground, baseball field, things like that. So she's familiar with that because I would take my grandchildren there and we'd play there with the kids. But then we heard that was just hearsay, but it got out into Facebook and everything that she was seen walking there, but that is not true.
No.
Is there something that you're thinking of that we could answer?
No, nothing specific. I was just looking at these articles, and then as we've been talking, some of the details have been a little different coming from the source, coming from the two of you. And those were the examples: the surveillance photo description, the vehicle not being operational, the location that she was walking. I didn't know if there was anything else that was out there.
Yeah, there's no like physical proof of which direction she went or anything, so we can't really say. I've read that in a few articles where she was heading towards Lewisfield. That's just not true as far as we know.
Right.
No, the detectives didn't say anything to us about that. Yeah, and just to clear up her, I guess, we don't put her struggles with alcohol all over Facebook. It was something she was extremely embarrassed by, and she was working really hard to fight it that whole year prior to her missing 2022. She, I would say by June, July of that year, really hit rock bottom with her alcoholism. And she was not struggling with alcoholism for very long. It was probably maybe 2 years. It was not
a pandemic.
Yeah, it was started around the pandemic, I'd say. She struggled going forward. So, I would say by November of 2022, she had really pulled herself out of rock bottom.
Her birthday party.
Yep, we took her out for her birthday. She was Christmas. I felt like she was back.
Hot Brittany was back.
Yeah. She was really just joyful and just silly and just herself. And she was, trying to get a job back into the workforce. And so for her to just disappear 2 weeks later, roughly, it's just, it was just caught us off guard, basically. So we're not naive to the fact that, addiction is a disease, and
it's controlling.
It's very controlling, and so, we're not naive to the fact that maybe she had gone back in that short amount of time. Maybe she was back drinking again. You just don't know, but
still, she would not disappear.
Her core moral value,
right, very strong.
Her family root is so strong. She would never. It doesn't matter alcohol or not. She would not leave us like this ever. So.
Yeah, and you said that this happened while the COVID pandemic was going on, and I don't want to turn this into some PSA or anything, but a lot of people went through that. Like, a lot of people were one way, and then this thing happened, and a lot of people, including people I know, including myself, we just didn't know what was going to happen. So
it was an isolating time.
Well, she was
absolutely.
Yeah.
She was not with Brad at the time. She was with a different.
Yeah.
And she lived in a different area, so
very
isolated.
She was very She felt isolated. I know.
We know.
Yeah. So it was hard. It was hard for her and everybody. It was hard for everybody. But she was like, when she had hit rock bottom, she basically was like, no, I want to try to pull through this on my own. And then, this kind of brings up another rumor, is that we were planning an intervention. Yeah, we were planning an intervention that Tuesday. So that's why she didn't come home, and that's why she ran away, because we were going to put her away in rehab forever.
But that's a rumor.
That is a big rumor. Yes. No, that's not even close to the truth. So.
Well,
and she didn't feel that way.
No, she knew. She had 5 hospitalizations?
Yeah.
But not because of her alcoholism, secondary, her skin and electrolytes and things like that from alcoholism, but not to actually withdraw or whatever. So I told her that we really wanted to get help for her. And I said, I will not watch you have a 6th hospitalization. This is horrible. And so that was months before, September, maybe October, I don't know. And she really started doing so much better.
Yeah.
So an intervention, as far as, I don't know how you word it, but would I want to help her in any way I could? Absolutely. But did she think that we were going to put her away? No.
But do you think that the disappearance is connected to the alcoholism?
No. We have to keep our mind open. We have to, nobody, I guess, wants to believe that their family member is going to continue their alcoholism, or that, it's a roller coaster disease, addiction. So you just never know, and we're trying to keep our minds open to, maybe she did fall back into the alcohol dependency,
but where would she be?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've tried to find, all crazy places, even drug houses anywhere in these areas, searching and searching, just trying to find her, and she's nowhere. Nowhere.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for commercial. And just a reminder, folks, that we will return at the end of this conversation with some final thoughts.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program.
This is like a small town where everybody talks. Everyone kind of knows each other's business, and not one person has come forward with any type of credible information. Just so surprising that nobody knows anything related. We can't even prove that. Like, then we were going down, like, if she is addicted to alcohol, was she addicted to drugs? But we really have found no proof of that. So, and the police haven't either. So.
Right, and in a small town, you would probably hear something along the lines of, "Oh, this particular person is known for dealing this particular drug, so maybe we should contact this person," or, a certain element in a town exists, but there isn't that.
No, there's been nothing as far as we know.
As far as we know, that's the thing. Like someone had brought up that oftentimes there's parallel investigations, like there's something connected to Brittany that we aren't aware of, that they are investigating without saying, but they're looking for her and whatever parallel. But I don't know what that, if that's drugs or what it could possibly be. If that's even true, I'm just throwing that out in the air here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if I missed this before. Was there any activity on her bank account?
No.
So she had automatic withdrawals as far as for payments of her credit cards and things like that. So it kept getting overdrafted because obviously there was nothing going in. So that account was frozen, so that they would, stop paying her bills. So to save
the overdraft fees and everything,
they just froze the account. So was there any other activities?
We don't know. They haven't said anything to us.
So I don't think that, I don't think you can do that on a frozen account, right?
No.
It would not show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So truly, this is the craziest thing. It's like dead end after dead end. I can't, none of us can figure out what could have possibly happened.
And you don't think she's hiding on purpose?
No, but I wish she was.
Yeah.
If she was safe and happy.
We hold on to hope that like we're so dead wrong. But in our hearts, we don't think we're wrong, but yeah.
And I just wanted to mention that phone call that you had again where she got a little emotional. She gave you no real hint on what she was emotional about?
No, see, that's the thing. We have learned that she'll talk to us when she's ready to talk. Mm-hmm. So it would be pointless to me to say, honey, is there something I can help you with, or whatever. She will talk to us when she's ready. So when she said, no, Mom, we'll talk about it later, I let it go because I said she's getting her thoughts together or whatever, whatever she wanted to tell me or not. I mean, she's 35. She's not a little kid, right? So I just let that go. But when I couldn't get a hold of her the next morning, I texted her and no response. I got a little bit concerned and I said, well, she's not ready to talk yet. But didn't hear from her all day Wednesday. Thursday, I believe I tried 3 times and still nothing. Drove by the house and I saw her Jeep out front and a light on upstairs. So I just assumed she wasn't ready to talk still, or none of my business, being 35 years old or whatever, but I had no idea she really wasn't in that house because her Jeep was right there.
So, yeah. So then by Thursday night, just text her boyfriend and see what's going on. And that's when he called and said, no.
He goes, what do you mean, how's she doing? Isn't she with you? Well, that
was it.
That was it.
I'm confused. Where did he think she was during those days?
So she used his cell phone to call my mom. he thought she was calling for a ride home.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. If she was calling for a ride home, my mom would be there in a heartbeat.
So would that indicate that there was some kind of argument or something like that, potentially?
Could have.
We're trying to figure that out too. I mean, I have never gotten, there could have been some disagreement, something. I'm not sure because, like I said, this is one of the books.
There must have been something because all of her belongings were in her car,
right,
in her Jeep.
So I'm assuming they were breaking up or whatever.
Yeah, because that's the only reason I could think of why all her clothes were packed in her Jeep and her belongings.
Her clothes, too. Wow. So all of her belongings from that house were packed in her car?
Yeah, basically. Just a couple toiletries, I guess.
Okay, and except for the SIM card.
And the SIM card.
During that emotional call, did it sound like there was someone like eavesdropping on her call? I know you said that, she'll talk when she's ready to talk, but was that part of a hesitation?
I've always wondered that because I had never been in that house. I'd only been up the stairs to their apartment area, but never in. And then once I got in there and realized she said she was in their bedroom, there's a little hallway and the living room is right across from there. I can't imagine that he did not hear her. And because supposedly the roommate was there and Brad was there that night. I can't imagine that he wasn't close enough to hear what she was saying.
And she's also, they're saying like she was devastated, like crying. If that was the case, my mom would have pushed further, but she wasn't.
There was rumor that she was very distraught when she spoke to me and blah, 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 blah. That is absolutely not true because then there would have been no chance I would have been to that house right away, if she was distraught. She was just crying, not sobbing, not anything, just crying, simply.
Something you could tell something was wrong.
There's a lot of rumors out there. Trust me.
Wow. Well, what is the next steps for you guys?
A private investigator has come on board, thanks to Lou, who accepted our case. We're very grateful for that. We've still been in contact with our lead detective. He was actually promoted to sergeant, which is well deserved. So we have another detective and another set of eyes on our case. So that's really reassuring. It's coming up on 2 years, so we're hoping something will break. In the meantime, we're just going to continue to share her story. We're putting out more flyers again. A lot have come down or have faded. Planning a vigil on her 2-year anniversary next month. Hopefully, we'll have an answer before then. She'll be home.
And we'll say this at the beginning of the episode when Tim and I do the intro for this, but is there a phone number or where should people, who should people connect with if they have any information on this?
It's the state police and also Lou, the private investigation number, and Brookfield. All three of them have been active trying to find, work on this case. Even I don't want Brookfield excluded either because they've been wonderful. But the official state police tip line is 508-453-7589, and that can be anonymous if you choose to.
And you said that you were going to do a vigil next month. Please keep us informed on that. We would love to, because we are relatively local, we would love to attend and meet you in person.
Oh, awesome.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us here today and talking to us about Brittany. Is there anything else that you'd like to say here today?
Just a thank you so much for reaching out to us. Thank you. And for everybody, complete strangers that have just offered help, or, I get messages on Facebook and social media sites that, I went out searching for Britt. Yeah. I keep my eyes open every day. There's been people, I've printed flyers and put them out everywhere. Just friends, family have done this, and absolute complete strangers have just come out of the woodwork. And
Yep.
it's been just
A big community of
big,
help.
yeah.
Yep. Support.
And we are so grateful for that.
Yep.
Okay, we're back here for final thoughts after the conversation with Bethany and Susan about Brittany Tee. And big shout out to Bethany and Susan for joining us in this conversation. Also, big shout out to Private Investigations for the Missing, who is working on this case now. I believe a private investigator has been assigned, and that's how we got connected here with this family. So we're really hoping for answers in this case. Lance, what do you think what's it going to take to get answers here?
Well, first off, I said at the beginning of the episode that this was exactly why we do this show, why we do Missing, and hearing the emotion in Susan's voice within the first few seconds of her talking really drove home the fact that this is someone who was loved, someone who had a future, someone who had friends who were describing her as full of energy and passion, and someone who, by all accounts, wouldn't be doing something like this on their own accord. That this isn't something that she would have voluntarily done, gone missing on her own. And the first note that I wrote was that they said she was not herself, that they saw her and she was not herself, which was something that stood out to them immediately. And they had described her behavior shortly before her disappearance. I think it was the day before her disappearance or so.
I believe so, maybe,
yeah.
or soon before, yeah.
Where she was acting like she had acted when she had smoked marijuana and got paranoid. She was acting paranoid. And that's a familiar thing. Like, I've seen friends do that. I've done that. And it does pass, and it seemed to have passed for her. But I wonder if that had anything to do with the disappearance. But again, what stood out to me most was that they said she was not herself, which means that she had been acting in a consistently particular way leading up to this. And that way was not paranoid.
Right. But they said that at Christmas she was absolutely normal. And then not long after that, she was acting a little paranoid. But I have to say, like, if you're like, high on marijuana, like, I don't think rare, I would say, that paranoia is going to get you to go out and go outside in the cold on a cold January night. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to keep you inside probably, and inside your head if that's what's going on. Like, I don't think you're going to, I don't know. But what was a big kind of bombshell to me was that it seemed like Brittany and her boyfriend were breaking up. And I really hadn't seen that reported out there. I had seen that her car was in the driveway, her purse and keys, I believe, found inside the car, but not her phone. But also, Susan mentioned that her clothes were found in the car. Like, it seemed like she was about to move out of that house.
Yeah, like she had packed up some of her belongings and loaded her vehicle. And that was one of the pieces of misinformation that had been floating out there, was that the vehicle wasn't running, wasn't operational. And they said that that's incorrect. It was operational. And for what it's worth, they go through, and we heard them go through the inconsistencies or the misinformation that was out there. But to your point, if Brittany and her boyfriend Brad were going through a breakup, I wonder how bad that would have been for someone like Brad. And he's been cooperative with the police, and he's been cooperative with the family.
Yeah, but still something isn't adding up, right? So there's the boyfriend in this house, there's his brother, and there's another roommate. And then there's Brittany. And if they were breaking up, or maybe there was some small argument or something like that, again, I just don't understand why she'd reportedly walk down the street on a cold January night and not take her car. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. It makes so little sense that it's hard to believe.
Yeah. There were also two other people in that house at the time, in addition to Brad, including Brad's brother. But Susan and Bethany didn't seem to be connected to these other people or acquainted to these other people. And I feel like it came as a bit of a surprise to them that there were two other people in the home that they were living in. So if anything happened in the home, it would have had to have been done in a way where these other two people didn't know it happened, or some people didn't know it happened, or they all knew it happened and they're all covering something up. I mean, the thing that really like gets under my skin and makes me want to just keep like scratching away, and I feel like Bethany and Susan feel the same way, is that if you just look at it logically, she was in one place at one time and then she wasn't. And the people that she was with have a story about her leaving. And again, this is really similar to the Lauren Spear story, where she's in one place, only this time there's no cameras capturing Brittany walking anywhere. So where is that gray area? Where is that gap in time and what happened there? And if these people say she left on foot, where did she go? The only thing I can think of is someone picked her up. Where did that person go? How did she voluntarily go with somebody? How is she never seen again from a car or at a gas stop or anywhere? So it's a tough pill to swallow that she was in point A, was described as leaving point A, but never made it anywhere. And I mean, the show is called Missing because we talk about people who are not found and there's no indication of them going anywhere. So that's always been the scratch that we just can't seem to satisfy.
Yeah, it's a really frustrating part of the story because I'm not really sure I believe that she left that house on foot. Again, logically speaking, I don't know why she would. And then if she has a working car, why would she get into some other car? I kind of think it's a leap to think she's out there walking on the street. So yeah, I'm not going to believe that she got into another person's car. But with that said, if that is what happened, and we know that there are stranger abductions that occur. That's a fact. But I think we need to focus on backing this one up a little bit.
Yeah, and looking at the behavior patterns that she exhibited her entire life, according to her mom and her sister. And I'm going to take their word for this. I don't think that they're making this up. But if she needed to go for a walk because something was going awry at the household due to the breakup, she would have called her family. She wouldn't have. They've said, like, they're a tight-knit family. If there was a problem that significant where she would put herself into an environment that she was uncomfortable in, like walking in the dark at night in the cold, she would have opted to call her family first and said, I need to get out of here. Even if her car didn't work, maybe she went out, tried to start the car, it wasn't starting, she would call her family. She wouldn't just walk on her own to nowhere, to no place in particular.
And the whole idea that her SIM card was found inside is just,
suspicious?
Yeah, that is the word that I was, I guess, trying to avoid, but it is. I don't understand. I don't understand why that would be.
We went through it during the interview. If I tried to take my SIM card out of my phone now, it'd take me probably the rest of the day. Maybe it's easy. I don't know. But does she have an iPhone? I don't remember asking if she had.
I don't think we got that detail, but either way, her SIM card was there. Somebody removed it from the phone. It didn't fall out. It was purposefully removed and placed. I believe it was on the counter inside. So why would that be?
What does a SIM card contain?
Information.
Right. Would one person think that if they removed the SIM card from the phone, that text messages or even the GPS would be disabled?
Yeah. I mean, I'd certainly be curious to find out where the investigation led. Like, there's probably some Google searches that shine a little bit of light on who thought that might be the case, is my guess.
Very sloppy. If someone's taking the SIM card out as a way to hide information, why haven't you destroyed the SIM card yet? Why haven't you put that in the garbage disposal or burned it?
Yeah, so many strange questions here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, really don't want to throw any stones in any direction because we know the residents of that house that Brittany was living in have been cooperative. That's the word. They've been cooperative. So again, don't want to throw stones when we don't know which direction to throw the stones. But again, something just isn't adding up here.
And hopefully the police, law enforcement, hopefully they have those pieces that have added up and they're formulating a plan in order to make sure they have the strongest case against somebody. And again, not saying the people at the home again, they've been cooperative, but maybe there is another element that's at play that they are aware of. And we know that the family's working with law enforcement. So whenever we get some sort of progress or some sort of update on this, we will do our best to communicate that with the listeners. In the meantime, don't forget to support Brittany's story. And if you have a tip or any information, we'll just give the number again, 508-453-7589.
Okay, thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it.